But cool. Well, thanks guys for coming. This is a little TED Talk called Manifestation Through Purpose. This is part 2. We did part 1 yesterday where we kind of went through the idea of rapid personality transformation, principles behind it, why it's important, how it works, the dangers of it, because it can be pretty risky stuff. We don't have time to go completely back over everything, but I'm going to do a recap here, and then we'll get into some action steps. So manifestation, radical person, I'm just going to say person, transformation. We know what that means. So manifestation has a very romantic sounding feel, doesn't it? It's very exciting stuff. You guys familiar with The Secret, law of attraction, that kind of thing? Yeah, this is not that. Not exactly, anyway. But you want to believe in it because that's kind of anything in life. You got to believe in what you're doing. But I say that manifestation is an active process, and it's actually important that we manifest a personality that's aligned with the goals that we want to achieve, like our life goals, and that's ideally built around our purpose, which creates ultimate fulfillment. So let's illustrate this real quick. You are essentially you, and you're made up of emotions and memories and opinions and ideas and goals and intentions and fears and things that you enjoy, all sorts of stuff, right? And you move through time toward choices. When you reach a choice, your program that you've built up over your entire lived experience gives you a gut option, or you can choose a different option. Sometimes our gut option is a good option, but depending on the program, it might not be aligned with the person that we really want to be. This leads us to regret a lot of the decisions that we end up making. Like, why did I do that? Why did I do that? Why am I so stupid? You're not stupid. Your program is just running without your consent. So we need to take control of that by rewriting the program. We do this through 5 steps. Let's just put steps over here. Step 1 is to know thyself. This is like introspection, self-discovery. You know, you might need to go to a therapist to help you with this. It can be a very complicated process and very dangerous. You might end up running into some demons down in there. So you're going to want to know what to do once you get there. Now, once you know yourself, you're going to look for 3 things. That's motivators, weaknesses, and your purpose. Now, motivators, those are things that basically create that decision within the program itself. And this can be based in ego. This can be based in, even worse than ego, thinking about what other people think about us. And this then builds another level. So we have our own internal programming. Then we have, I better make sure that I'm doing something that other people think what I do. Or, I can't do that, otherwise what if people think that you're becoming an NPC in your own story because you don't even have control over your own actions. So we want to identify these motivators. We're not trying to fix them, right? Then we're looking for weaknesses. Weaknesses are your fears. These are bad habits that we might subconsciously do. These are the lies that we tell ourselves, we tell other people. We have to keep up with them all the time. This holds us back, and this also plays a part in our decision-making process. But once we really identify our motivators and our weaknesses, we have a better sense of who we are, and we can find our purpose. And a purpose, this is something that gives you ultimate fulfillment in life. This is, kind of the grand question, right? What's my purpose? Why am I alive? What's the meaning of life? Well, just think back through your life at times when you've done something for an extended period of time, something difficult primarily, that gave you lasting satisfaction. When you look back in hindsight, there's no negative. It's a 0 net negative, total positive. And so this can lead you to find your purpose. This can be anything. Maybe your purpose is to, save children from hunger or anything along that. Purpose is unique to you. It doesn't have to be altruistic, it just has to be big. Once we know our purpose, then we gotta dream big. Because this is the part where we're actually changing our life. Right now we just figured out what our life is. which most people never really end up doing anyway. So already, you're doing a lot of hard work. This represents the person we want to become. And this is going to represent the goals that we want to achieve. This is that legacy that we want to leave behind. This is like what they're going to put on your tombstone type thing. We want to make a big goal that's aligned with our purpose. This should be something that takes like your whole life to achieve. This is going to force you into long-term thinking. And once we have that goal, got too many markers, but I like the colors, all right? Then we design a ladder of small goals built in reverse. So we're going to start at the top and work our way back down. Instead of trying to figure out step one, we're just going to start at the end and then figure out how to get there. Once you have that framework, which is a framework, by the way, it's not like a prescription. You can't plan out 30 years of your life day to day. It's not gonna happen like that. But we want to have a framework because this makes it seem more achievable. Now, once we have ourselves, we have our goals, now we have to design the transformation. And that's this person here, the person we want to become. Here's where it gets fun, right? This is your character creation screen. This is your block of Play-Doh you can make into whatever you want. But we need to make it into something that's going to achieve the goals that are aligned with our true purpose. By doing that, every day we just live in ultimate satisfaction and fulfillment, which is the real goal here. So who is this person, right? What do they do? What do they value? You know, where do they live? What don't they do? What's a day in the life like of this person, you know? What kind of partner do they have? What kind of friends do they have? Who do they work with? And they work with other people primarily to make up for their weaknesses, because we've got to figure out this isn't a perfect person, okay? You can't be a perfect person. So you got to also design in, you know, what are they afraid of? What can't they do? What do they do to help themselves when they get down? We figure all these things out. We're designing a rocket ship here that's going to take us to the moon. So in order to do that, we got to get the jet fuel. And jet fuel is made up of three things: joy, energy, and time. And we obviously can't bring the same amount of all of these things from our old us to our new us. So we have to sacrifice all of the things that don't optimize these so that we can become the person we want. So joy, that's that's dopamine. That's things we like to do. Could be good things, could be bad things. We want to figure that out. Dr. Cameron Sapal recommends a dopamine detox to kind of make that a little more apparent where these sources of dopamine are coming from. So once you know, you can figure out, what sources kind of cross between our two selves here, our old self and our new self. We're going to keep the ones that go along with this one and that achieve our goals and live within our purpose, and we're going to just let go of the other ones. Then we're going to need energy. That comes from two places, obviously: sleep, food. You know, I'm not here to tell you like what to eat, what to sleep, whatever, but just be conscious of it, because when we take control of it, there tends to be good results. And so we optimize that for our new person. Because what do they eat? You know, in your magical dream world, are you eating pizza combos, or are you eating something else? Maybe you are, and in which case, keep it in there. Finally, time. And this is the most important one, because time is all we have. It's the most precious resource. We can't get any more of it. We can't get any of it back. And we want to spend most of our time living in our purpose and being happy and being satisfied. So that means we got to get rid of all the stuff that takes up our time. It's not that. So you're going to do this with an acronym. Let's get it right. I'm shaking here. My board's blowing in the wind. MADE. And this is minimize, automate, delegate, and eliminate. Very Terminator type approach here, which is what we're doing. We're terminating things that waste our time. Now, when you look at your time, every action that you do, you ask yourself the question: does this serve my purpose, or does it not? If it serves your purpose and it gives you fulfillment, then it is. We keep it. Cool. Good job. If it doesn't, then we ask ourselves another question. We say, well, this might not be my purpose, but is it essential or is it a distraction? And things that are essential are things like cleaning your house and yourself. You know, it might not be your purpose. My purpose in life is not to take showers, but in order to have my joy and energy, you got to do it. It's essential. Sorry, there's no way around it. So it's essential. Well, that's cool. So then what do? Well, we minimize it. We minimize the amount of time it takes. Like if you're cleaning your house, you just want to minimize the time. How do you do it? You know, well, what makes the mess? Is it too much stuff? Too many dishes to clean? This is my example. So you just get rid of the stuff, you get rid of the dishes, and you make it as small as you can while still being comfortable. Once you've minimized it, can you automate it? Is it something that can be automated? Dishwashing can be automated, thank God. I lived a long time without a dishwasher. And if you can't automate it and you don't have a dishwasher, then you have to delegate it, if possible. This is just getting someone else to do it, right? Or share it with you. Just minimizing the amount of time that it takes to do it. And then since it's essential, we can't eliminate it, because that's what essential means. But if it's not essential, and it's not in your purpose, then it's likely that this thing that's taking up your time is a distraction. But we still have one more question we want to ask ourselves, and that's, is this distraction fun, or is it not? And if the thing that's taking up your time is not in your purpose, and it's not essential, and it's not fun, then you got to eliminate it, because it's just a complete waste of your life. This is ultimate NPC energy. If you are somewhere where you don't want to be, and it's a distraction from your ultimate fulfillment, what are you doing? Did you just spawn in there? Most of the time, these things are tied in with people, and we do them because we are afraid of what other people will think if we don't do them, right? But we need to get rid of that in step one, and we're already down here. So that shouldn't even be here. Now, if it's fun, you can keep it, right? We're allowed to have fun distractions in life, but we should probably minimize it because it's not in the purpose. And there's a lot of fun up here too. You can't automate it or delegate it though, because you can't automate fun or delegate fun. You can't pay someone to go have fun for you. Not possible. So we unlock these, and now all of a sudden, we're able to really live in this new program. And that's step 5, which is action. And action is the act of applying this programming to our life, which is a series of cause and effect, like I said. So this, there's the you're moving through time in your life and you run into choices, and now your program is designed to make the right choice by default, instead of you having to force yourself to make the right choice. Because by forcing yourself to make the right choice, you can just create friction in the system, and then the system crashes. I didn't make the rules, And the reason I wanted to give this talk is I recently experienced a mental breakdown of my own. And I made some choices that could have potentially killed me. They didn't, thankfully, right? I'm here, we're all here. But I had to ask myself why. Because I was stacking all sorts of great habits, right? Great behaviors, mindsets, meditating, yoga classes, green smoothies, the whole thing, positive outlooks. The problem was that I was still trying to just install these programs into my old operating system. And it wasn't compatible with what I was trying to do. So every time I made a good choice, there was friction in the system as I forced myself to choose it, until eventually you just crash. This is why good habits don't stick, because they're not native to your operating system. So in order to make these things natural and also fulfilling, you just got to rewrite the whole code. And these things can't coexist. This is not a version of you. This is not like a mask or like a way to brainwash yourself, or it's not something you put on when you want and take it off and go back to being you. This is you now. And once it's done, and once you've done all the steps, you won't even recognize it happening. All of a sudden, this will just be you. That's a great feeling. But this action step, the act of making decisions, is what is going to create this protocol and is what's going to get us to that fulfillment. And so that's where we're at today. Decision making. How do we do it? How do we know what the right decision is? How do we write that program so that it's able to make those effective decisions most of the time? Well, it's fun to look back on ancient wisdom. In the Temple of Apollo in ancient Greece, there's carved 3 maxims. Old-time stuff. Oracle of Delphi apparently uttered them under divine possession. First one was, know thyself. Very first one. So super old stuff. Second one was, nothing in excess, which basically means everything in moderation, right? Which I think is funny, because moderation has a kind of a different meaning now to us, like mods in a Discord server, right? So we have to be like the moderate, like we're the Jannies in our own life. Basically, you got to keep it on topic. Don't let memes in general chat or let flame wars get out of control. And the third one being, surety brings ruin. And what this means is when you set expectations and you expect an outcome and it doesn't happen, it destroys you. So don't have expectations, at least not concrete ones, or else that's going to mess you up. So even though we wrote our new programming, we can't just assume that everything is going to go right all the time. But what can we do to help ourselves out? This comes into short-term thinking versus long-term thinking. And we need both of them because we set our goal, big dream, right? It's like our whole life. It takes our whole life to get there. And we built our ladder of goals, mini goals, 5-year plans, 1-year plans, 10-year plans, all of that. And that's going to design us into long-term thinking, which is going to allow us to experiment a little more and feel free to fail. That way we're not destroyed by it. You can start over. Most people are terrified of starting over as if like the game's about to end. You're not at the buzzer shot, you know? If you miss the first shot in a basketball game, you don't automatically lose the game. That's kind of how it works. That's long-term thinking, but does that mean that you shouldn't even try to make the shot? Well, it's a long game. Why should I even try to make the first shot? It doesn't matter, it's not going to win the game. It's still a bad attitude, so that's why we got to have good short-term thinking and long-term thinking. And it's easy to make these decisions when you start applying second-order consequences. I'm going to do second OC. And second-order consequences, it's more of a process, because once you start thinking about this one, then the third, the fourth, the fifth, it goes like that. And this can bite us in the ass if we're not primed ahead of time. Because if you already apply second-order consequences naturally, they tend to be either rooted in ego or weakness and fear, It's like, well, I don't want to do that because what if this and what if this and what if that? You start playing this what-if game that just terrifies you out of acting. But that's what our step is. It's action, so we want to do that. And it's pretty obvious to say that positive actions tend to have positive second, third, fourth order consequences, and negative ones that way. But not always, right? Have you guys seen the Butterfly Effect movie? Right? I'm glad. There was a bunch of kids in here earlier, and I was like, they are not going to know what that movie is. It came out in like 2004. I was like, you guys probably weren't even born when Butterfly Effect came out. That's crazy. But yeah, you remember that movie? So Ashton Kutcher's character, he's able to time travel back to repressed memories from his childhood. And he's like, cool, now I'll change them and make the future a better place. But even though he means well, he just fucks the future up again and again because he had unforeseen second, third, fourth, fifth order consequences all the way down. And that's really strange. It's a weird idea, right? And the butterfly effect itself is rooted in chaos theory. And it basically states that an action on a small scale can have a large determinant factor in a bigger scale down the line. Chaos theory is weird because it sounds like it's, chaos, right? But it's actually the study of underlying patterns, outcomes that can be predicted from certain stimuli at the beginning of a chain reaction. This is like weather prediction, is like chaos theory. So like a weatherman is like a chaos magician. That was what they called him back in the day. Back in the caveman days. So in knowing this, well, we can make our decisions as intelligently as possible. Like, let's play a little game. What's the first order consequence of drinking alcohol?
Pleasurable buzz.
That's right. Which is a positive thing, right? That's cool. Second order consequence? Yeah, tends to not sit so well. Then you get hungover, then you get brain fog, then you might forget something. Uh-oh, now you gotta fix that. Now you kind of set a whole chain. Then you get really stressed. Then you probably want to drink again because you're stressed now. Let's go with that pleasurable buzz back. We want to jump back to there. So we're just covering up from the consequences. And consequences sounds negative, right? Consequences for your actions. But it just means the result. It's just semantics and the way that we interpret that. So we try to make decisions that are going to have positive outcomes, but really it's just understanding the chain reaction and the exponential property of it. Like, we know what all the consequences of alcohol are. So if we drink and we can see forward in time and say, well, it's okay if I get sick because I prepared for that and I don't have this to do and I can sleep then and I can do this and I can do this. This is all realistic. Well, then this hurts nothing. But if you make that decision based on old programming, your gut didn't think ahead at all of a sudden, this gets all messy. You set yourself on a bad reaction there. And this gets much easier once you apply the transformation process, because once you're already in there, doing these equations is not as hard as it sounds. It sounds like complicated. It sounds like we're beautiful minding our life all the time. But it just becomes sort of second nature. And it's part of that radical personality transformation. And there's dangers here with the action phase because there's going to be factors, I don't want to say necessarily negative, but you're going to see them as a result. Because some people aren't going to approve of your transformation. And then there might be people like parents, peers, bosses, people that have positions that can actually affect your life, that you can't just eliminate them. So dealing with that is going to be a person-to-person, piece-by-piece kind of system. But we know that at the end of the day, it's our goals that matter. Because our goals bring satisfaction and fulfillment and legacy. And these goals can't be certain things, like they can't be money. Money's not a goal. Money is a vehicle to help you get to a goal. It's still important, it plays a factor, but it can't be the goal. Right? Just how purpose is not a job title. You're not going to look deep within yourself and find VP of sales as your inner purpose. It's not going to be there, right? But similarly, music and art is not a purpose either. It's a vehicle toward a purpose. It's just you choose which way you want to go. The purpose is abstract. It's more ethereal, less literal.